I'm sorry that I haven't done this a long time ago. I have been trying, but not really trying, just thinking about it. Since long before the election, like I thought I might be able to make it not happen this way. I can't go back in time, so here we are in it now. What's it been, a couple of weeks? Listen up, boys and girls. Class is going into session. I'm 55 years old. I think I became aware of Donald Trump when I was 13. I think. Yeah. Pretty sure it would have been my freshman year of high school, I think, where I first heard of him and read about him. Read, not watched TV or listened to somebody say something, like read about him. Okay. Pretty much anything that came in front of me over my life that about him, I read it. I didn't watch any of the reality TV. I think maybe it was Survivor, the first one. So our problems go back. Our country's problems, because we're sliding into a fascist. Our system of government is under attack, and it's kind of crumbling. It's not up to the task. The Democrats are equally responsible for the deterioration that has led us to this place that has been going on for minimum 30 years. I'd say probably longer than that. Well, yeah, it is 30 years. All right. Oh, well, minimum. But anyway, the last 30 years, 96 was, I think, the year that they tried to do something about the internet and failed to address pornography. Unbelievable. 30 years. But TV became trash TV before that, before the internet really took off. So for you, who I'm trying to reach here is Trump supporters, voters, acceptors, appeasers, hope for the besters, sidle up with the everybody else seems to be, hers, anything like that with Trump. That's who I'm trying to reach. Donald Trump himself is not, I actually, over the so let me explain. Donald Trump is a very deeply pathological, all of these people are really pathological. This is the crazy, the most frustrating, one of the most frustrating parts of what we are in. So look up the word kakistocracy. I had to look that one up. Look up the one kleptocracy. I don't think I had to look that up. I figured that one out because I know what a kleptomaniac is and I know what an ocracy is. So that's what we've got, both of those things right now, and Donald Trump is at the head of both of those things. But the kakistocracy part is appointing all of these blatantly, like, I dare you to call me on how insane this is, appointees, because of their number one thing is that they will be loyal to him. And like, he's always been a show off because he's looking to impress and he wants you to be your friend. Oh my God. There's times when I understand his charm, and my rage towards many of the people like Tucker Carlson and Leonard Leo and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and a lot more people, Joe Rogan, pussy's trying to backpedal now, sellouts. Okay, so we're talking about billions of dollars. So yeah, Joe's just a regular guy that smokes weed and talks about shit like I'm talking about shit, and he sounds like he's open-minded about everything. So he considers everything. And like, oh, and people like the way, and oh, so it sells. Oh, we can make money off of this. And now he's like a machine, and he just does it for kicks. And it's like, you know, there's a bunch of fucking queer people hanging around him that get their rocks off by making the most outlandish. Get this guest, that'll really get them all going. So like these right-wing incels is a term you should look up. I had to look that up too. Incels, they're younger than me mostly, but these people, like Bannon in his basement before he went to jail, I don't know if it's still his podcast, he's got a crew hanging out in his basement of young people that don't seem to understand that he's a slovenly, sloppy drunk, manic, bipolar on the manic side, like fucking egomaniac, and it's just mind-boggling to me that these kids would so there's a lot of kids that are really lost, and oh my goodness, and the military's pretty fucked up, and the country let it get really fucked up, and the country is pretty fucked up with respect to the military too, and the whole thing of like, so for example, I fly a lot now, right, and adult, disabled people or people who need extra time, you board first, and then they might have first class if you're on an alien, they do that, but like pretty quick before they get to anybody, or active and retired service, thank you for your service, you can board. And like when in Vietnam and Korea and earlier times, so that jingoism of the level of being associated with, well, I was going to say the media. I guess flying isn't the media, but the whole patriotic, thank you for your service. I shouldn't even said the word patriotic. It may have been changed in definition so much, but like the whole thank you for your service, that phrase that has just become so like fucking overdone, but it's been a long time now. At any rate, like that's from the very beginning, I recognized that as like that's over the top. And like there's people who I don't really know, let's not get into how people receive it, but I'm just saying the whole giving of it, it's phony. And military service used to be something that pretty much everybody in the country experienced, at some men anyway, and some women, but like, you know, for men anyway, like pretty much everybody, and this has always been a diverse country. So the white people that came here and fought with the Indians and got started with different people from different places, all the different people that are here, like, you know, Trump's people from Germany, imagine that, and Musk's people are actually the South African. His grandfather started in the northern wilds of Minnesota and migrated up into Canada, out in the western frontier of Canada, and he had all kinds of kooky ideas. And during World War II, he got himself imprisoned because he was part of this technocrat political party that Canada had actually outlawed during during World War II. The U.S. didn't outlaw it at the same time, but he was in Canada, and he spent some time in prison. But when he got out of prison, he had all these kind of people wrote back then, I guess, and they maybe gave speeches or whatever. But like, he was a fucking eugenicist, racist, white supremacist, just fucking rotten, like white superior. You know, like talked about brown people as though they're less than human. So that's the whole basically what we're talking about with what's happening now, right? Racism, misogyny, so that's the same level of not appreciating women as humans, just like men, like that. But so white men, fucking white, a lot of closeted gay white men is who you got right now trying to institute a Christian theocracy. Leonard Leo's at the top of that, but Tucker Carlson and J.D. Vance and a lot of people who have their own personal, they're fucked up. Oh, Ron DeSantis, another big one. Closeted gay men faking it and hate themselves and hate women, and just full of hate. DeSantis is a fucking nasty, he's an evil fucking nasty guy. And dishonest, like unbelievably dishonest. Who was the other one? There we go. Oh my God! So Tucker Carlson, yeah, he's dishonest too. But he's this dude when he went to I was gonna say the Soviet Union, when he went to fucking Russia to blow Vladimir Putin and take us on a little tour of. This was after he got fired from Fox News, which, mind you, Fox News paid $797 million, I think, to a voting machine company, and then just got to go back to pretending that they're a legitimate news station and continuing to spout the propaganda that these various interest groups, the Murdochs, just sort of lean racist and misogynist at baseline, and they're, soulless money whores. And, it's all about the audience that they have built of ignorant people who allow themselves to be preyed upon over their resentments and made to feel part of a club over it. It's fascist recruitment is what's happening now. So, that's what you've gotten yourself mixed up in if you're, thinking that this is all okay. So, January 6th, the insurrection, it really happened. A bunch of kooks stormed the Capitol building, and people were killed and fought with cops and weapons and crazy. So they've all been pardoned now, and they're starting to get arrested and shot and killed and different things like that. But all right. So, well, that's a start. So Hegseth, right? The talk today is about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'll get to him, but they've already confirmed Hegseth, so that's beyond the personal train wreck and just complete phony. All right, so I quit drinking in 2010, so it's 2025. So, well, kind of gonna be anyway, a long time. I've had a lot of growth and maturity like that, and but this guy, I was never like that. I mean, it's not even. I don't even know why I'm saying it, but so he's a fucking drunk, and he's a vicious dude. I mean, his mother. So this is the thing. I don't know if you read this stuff or if you just watch memes. Meme isn't the word. I don't know what you call shorts or videos or whatever. Just consume. I don't know. Do you consume content somehow on your phone or on your television at home? The only thing my TV is on now is 1970s TV shows like Rockford Files and Columbo and stuff like that. That's it. I'm trying to watch football right now, and the commercials make it difficult, but I'll be cutting that off as soon as the Super Bowl's. I don't even know if I can make it. It's too much for me. It's overstimulation, because TV is what what happened is, it used to be Make America Great Again. So the money whores already brought trashy vulgarity into the mainstream, and a lot of really juvenile people never really grew up and just sort of reveled in it. And I mean, there's just really no boundaries at all, disgusting shit. Cable television, almost every single channel is, the names are misleading. The Learning Channel is it's exploitation of fucked up people for your entertainment. History Channel, weird fucking culty, creepy, weird shit. Even National, whatever, Geographic, I think they got weird shit sometimes. There's others though. E is a big one. Very, very exploitative of people struggling with mental health and addiction for your entertainment. It's just no regard for the people. The Bobby Brown Whitney thing. It's just the poor, God bless Whitney Houston. The woman that ran that network must just have no shame at all. Cable television news, right? people who watch Fox and consume that stuff, and I know there's other ones different, like Newsmax and different, I don't know, there's different things, or all these different things. People who consume that and buy the little ride on the train of come join the club of like, yeah, we're the cool people, we know what's up, like about the fucking liberals and how they fucking the elites and the liberal, we know about it all and fucking burn it all down, and yeah, you know what, why should we pay for all so stupid and naive about the why should we pay in your part, because let me just tell you, the Republican whores and the Democrat whores, they're all whores, that is true, but the Democrat whores who run the government and have for a while as a whole, by and large, you know, they care about people. And the tax money that you pay is supposed to go back into your community, the community of people, and give you shit and do shit for you with your taxpayer. Whether it's paying for the roads or paying for just anything. Your health care, you know what I mean? Like that. So that would be something. Wouldn't that be nice? And the Republicans, for my lifetime, have been primarily concerned with being bought off by the leaders of those industries that take advantage of us instead of... And also, they created this class war, this racist angle of a class warfare when they started the Southern strategy to try to figure out how to get, you know, the whole Reagan Democrats. And you have to read your history, because Tucker Carlson and Leonard Leo and Steve Bannon, all these people who profess to be, you know, they're educated, right? And they rail against higher ed, liberal elite that runs education. They're like the contrarian in the class. That's what they are. But they're still part of the fucking elite. That's the part you gotta understand, okay? They don't give a fuck about you or me, the working man. Now, I have an interesting perspective, because before all this shit started, I was, and I still am, but it's just not recognized quite the same way, at least in the political context. I'm a smart one, okay? Because I have been reading since I was 4 years old, and I read about what's going on with just a lot of different things, and also I live a very like active life. But I went to school and I went to college, and I read a lot of history. I read a lot of history. And I learned a lot of history in school, and I continue to learn. I read a lot, and I learn a lot of history. I read critically. You have to consume anything you take in, whether it's reading. It's even more, especially when it's through a form like video like this. You have to take it in critically. You got to think, but there's really sophisticated ways of presenting information that it's like a meta here. Where do they get that word? A meta like way of we're going to talk about manipulation to make sure you understand that we know you're not that we know you're trying to make sure you're not being manipulated, and that's how we're going to manipulate you, though. So let's talk about some personal histories of some people who your people are telling you, or maybe you are even telling me, are okay. Tucker, his father was born in Boston, or maybe Cambridge, but right up here, to a 15-year-old girl, and I think the father was an 18-year-old boy. It might have been 17 or something like that. So Tucker's grandfather was a teenager and his grandmother was a younger teenager. And the girl's family would not let her marry him. And he shot himself in the head and killed himself on the sidewalk a little ways down from her house. And she was sent, I think, probably to have the baby somewhere, and the baby went to the orphanage. I think the Italian home. I think. Or Little Wanderers, but the grandfather, was it? Yeah. Oh, so that's his father, right? So his father it's fostered, is what I read on more than one occasion. I don't know that they were adopted, or maybe eventually adopted. I'm not really sure. No, I don't think so, because I think the name Carlson came from the blood family. I'm not sure. So some family fostered him through, I guess, maybe teenage years or what have you, and they had like I think they had a Swedish name, and they maybe had a mill or something, and they were a family of some means, and they took him in as like a charitable thing or whatever, and then he started to make his way in the world, and he, I guess, was a pretty charismatic guy, and he did a lot of, I think, radio work with Voice of America, so Tucker is his son, and there might have been some controversy with political stuff. I don't remember, but personal life, Tucker's, I think that he went out to California. I'm pretty sure he went out to California and did his Voice of America stuff with the military and in California. I don't think he was in the military though. I think he just did this radio thing, and he had government contacts of some sort associated with that, but I want to say he was in California, and he was involved with this woman and married her, I think, pretty sure, yeah, but her name was Lombardo, and she was an artist, and she had Tucker, and I believe he's got a brother, the two boys, that's what I think it is. Tucker older, I'm not really sure, I think so. You guys probably know. And I think it's just those two, I'm not sure, but at any rate, she abandoned the family when he was young, I think, right? Pretty sure, kid. I think just like moved to Europe, didn't want to be a mom, left him with his dad in California. And his dad was like a hustler, right? I told you he started in an orphanage, and he was a charismatic guy, and he was just like a fucking hustler. And he always, so he got this woman who was an heiress to the Swanson TV dinners fortune, which apparently is a fucking fortune. Swanson. Yeah, so that's Tucker's stepmother. But Tucker had a boarding school for high school experience, actually at St. George's in Middletown. He was sent away to boarding school. He's a prep school boy. And I think he married the headmaster's daughter from St. George's. She's a charming, or was, I guess, dreadfully still is to some people, but I'm trying to explain about him to you. You have to read all the newspaper coverage, and so don't tell me that the New York Times is not legitimate. You have to just read the shit, and you can tell by the way it's written, anywhere you're reading, whatever it is. That helps you judge its credibility. You got to learn. You just have to, So if you got a bias, so this is a tool they use. I'm just telling you my sources. It's the easiest way to consume. It's painful to consume news, right? So I want to do it in the quickest way possible. I don't want to sit and watch a bunch of fucking yahoos like this, valving about whatever the fuck they think about whatever. I want to read what's going on, and I want it to be in a I don't want to see the explosive fucking, Fox Newsy, New York Daily News. If I'm searching for the picture of a criminal because I want to know what he looked like and where he's from, I know that's where you go to look, Daily Mail in the UK and shit like that. But I'm not scrolling through there every fucking horrific. There's billions of people on the planet, and they comb time now in the internet age for all the bad shit that happens all over the world, and they make it go viral in your face, and then they turn it into a weapon they can use by saying, see, this crazy fucking Mexican that did this horrible, devilish crime thing. Like, do you know how many fucking crazy fucking devilish white people in this country do that shit that you don't know about? Like, so hello. And if so, a person I know who I know is a really intelligent person and also a kind, loving-hearted person, but I also believe is somewhat in this cult of thinking that certain people don't warrant like basic human rights. I'm fearing, and I'm not giving up, but like I gotta take a drink while I think about what the next words are. Oh yeah, this was stunning. So this is a woman who, a beautiful woman, beautiful soul. I don't really. It's a strange, mostly Instagram. I mean, I know her, but that's pretty much it. Cares immense, like feels the pain of the Jewish hostages from Israel from back October 7th, over a year ago, right? There's a tremendous amount of, it's overwhelming to me, the amount of content she consumes and shares, but I can only take like so, but I read a lot to know what's going on, and I also have a life experience of knowing, like, I still, see, I'm from the time when you couldn't really talk about this, so it is really mind-blowing to me that's, I don't want to digress onto that, because, you know, you can talk about that for centuries, and that has been going on for centuries, so we can table that for the moment. But anyway, this woman is very into that concern for the Jewish people right now, and but I know she's a humanist, and she loves people, and she loves the animals, and she loves the world, and she loves nature, and she's a good girl. She's a really good girl, but there's some really fucking evil people manipulate people. So anyway, this caught me by surprise. Fucking trying to get a cigarette, and that's the second time I pulled out a pack of fucking Pico antacid, like Alka-Seltzer, but no aspirin. I guess I'm gonna have to stand up and see what the fuck I did with my cigarettes. They're in my coat pocket. There we go. All right. So I told her about Trump a little bit, and we got onto the subject of immigration. All right. And she said, "Now this is not going to be a direct quote, because I'll fuck it up. I'm not even trying to make it be a direct quote. Just a quick one-liner." There was something along the lines of, with regard to, I maybe just imagined this part, but Mexicans, or maybe you're just saying immigrants, but I think Central American, I think I had said, whatever. No, that's not true. So maybe I just said immigrants. Maybe we're talking about immigrants. Maybe I just conjured that in my mind, but that wasn't, I can't assume she also had that conjured, but whatever. I know what the flavor and the color of the immigration debate, as it were, I'm not going to call it that, but what they feed, like all the media, the propaganda, the stuff from, it's the right, okay? I hate to say this, right and left shit. You know, when I heard J.D. Vance give a speech, this is before the election, where he talked about our enemies, and he was referring to, quote-unquote, the American left. People never used to talk like that. Opponent, the other side, the other party. Wait a minute. Our enemies, like, it's like a declared civil war mentality is the way they talk, but that dude's fucking twisted. I'll tell you about him also, but I'm supposed to be telling you about one particular person right now, and I don't even think I've started. Is this all prolonged or preface? I still haven't said what she said about immigrants. She said that they were criminals, rapists, something like that. anyway, but it's been sitting with me for a while. And of all the things that have happened in the past couple of weeks, the immigrant blitzes that they've done have probably been some of the more visibly Nazi. That was a Nazi salute that Elon Musk did. So don't tell me he's autistic or he's whatever the fuck. Okay, don't tell me anything that excuses. Don't be a Nazi apologist. How's that? Don't be a Nazi apologist. If you read, you'll learn that there's terminology for all this already. We've been down this road before, so learn something by reading. And you have to turn off the fucking, you gotta learn your work. This is where the sober and the AA and whatever, but you know, this is where like just trying to like be right with yourself. When you see somebody on TV that's like a peacock, so that could be MSNBC or CNN or Fox, any one of them, whatever side they're peacocking for, they're all fucking peacocking is what they're doing. And like, I don't need that shit. Don't fucking cares what they, turn off that shit and read something, you know. Don't get yourself learned about what's going on in the world by just turning that shit on, whichever club you like to be in, and just letting that be in the background and absorbing it by osmosis, like not even fucking thinking about it and letting that just be your family's background. And like, that's like fucking, it's insidious, that shit, all of it. Hey, Maron. But so I'm compelled to say that it is absolutely untrue that they're all rapists and criminals. I know this for a fact. My kids know this for a fact. My family, my community, we know this for a fact. They're hard-working construction workers that are out here doing every kind of job in all kinds of weather with a smile on their face and apologizing to fucking white people who are working from home about a dumpster or a noise or whatever, and just working. Or working on a bridge that gets knocked into the fucking bay down in Maryland by an accident from a ship, and having a bunch of fucking closet gay, fucking self-loathing, resentful, angry fucks who have no humanity and are just cashing in. These fuckers like Alex Jones and these motherfuckers are selling like fucking testosterone pills and any fucking crypto money laundering shit. These people are selling worthless shit just because it will put more money in their pocket, and they're using their platforms to just fucking spout hatred and paranoid conspiracy theorists. I'm fucking paranoid, okay? Yes, I'm fucking paranoid and skeptical. I'm skeptical of everything. And that's why I can't stand all these fucking peacocks, and I can't understand how everybody else can. I can't understand it. But I'm fucking paranoid. So when Ivana Trump fell down the stairs, I thought that was a very strangely, quietly finished investigation, and was very suspicious to me. And when Donald Trump got shot at twice, I think, right? I mean, I know he got whizzed in the ear and thing, and the guy died in that one too. Was that one? That I know it was. Was that Pennsylvania? I can't fucking remember. Was it Pennsylvania or Ohio? Those fucking places. Oh my God. And the other one, I think, was at a golf course down in Florida. I don't think he got shot at there. I think they just got the guy in the fucking bushes. I don't know. Was that Florida? Anyway. I wouldn't put it past them to have staged the whole fucking thing, and oh, geez, too bad a guy got killed. I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't. But you gotta understand, you're looking at a guy who didn't like any president, going back as far as Jimmy Carter was the last one that I liked. And I was 10 years old when Jimmy Carter was president. So, but I stand by, God rest his soul, he just passed away. And I still see some flags. Oh, that one's up. I still see some flags as recently as yesterday at half-staff, and I'm wondering, is that still for him? Or is that just mourning this new fucking beginning fascist kakistocracy that's taking hold, or attempting to? Oh, good God. So Tucker, he really fucking hates women. He fucking hates women because his own mother abandoned him as a child. he's an angry fuck. He is a really angry, he's a priss, he's a wuss, he's a fucking, you know, prep fucking, he's a faker. He's trying to be like, he's trying to fit in this world that he thinks is, you know, where he's supposed to be, because I guess that's how he was raised up into this, you should be in this, but he knew he really didn't belong there. And he's still trying to fit in as a fucking, that world is fucking bullshit anyway. But he's a contrarian. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else. That's what all these people think, is they all think that they're smarter than everybody else. Christopher Rufo, little fucking pussy. Charlie Kirk. Fuck you. These stupid kids, right? They're a combination of different things, but they're whores is what they are. And they just fucking, their attention, DeSantis and like Rufo and that shit that he's doing down there in Florida with the college. DeSantis is a fucking deeply distant. He's as gay as a $3 bill. I'm sorry. It's as plain as the nose on his face. He is a miserable fucking self-loathing, and he's a slimy fucking. He's an angry, dishonest, on the take, really full of himself, really full of himself, secretive, authoritarian. Come in, and he's not quite. He's autistic. Some would say that he's not. He laughs at the wrong time when he tries. He eats. He's disgusting. He's crazy. I'm sorry. That was the thinking of somebody else. That when I say that word, the reason I said that word autistic is because this woman who I was referring to before to talk about immigrants, when I said about, actually created a story on Instagram with Elon's video and his Nazi salute, making it clear, condemning it, and as what it was, a Nazi. I said Nazi fuck, I think is what I wrote on the thing. And she tried to say, she said that it wasn't a Nazi salute. He was giving his love to the crowd, and he's awkward and he's autistic. So I know I read that was a line that the right-wing, whatever the fuck you want to call it, churning machine of fucking bammo, social media fucking, like, you know, the trolls, I guess you call them, or the offense, you know, but like the army of fucking right-wing fucking content creators, they immediately jump on every fucking thing to try to form it in the direction that they want it to go. And so that is a Nazi salute. He may not have it's because it's deep in his soul. So I started to detour off of Tucker to him. So let's finish with Tucker first. So Tucker goes to Moscow to blow Putin on the air on his little show, and also goes to the fucking supermarket in Moscow that's like spotless, clean, and empty because nobody can afford, like, he's paying with his rubles that he got, and like he doesn't realize that the box of cereal and the whatever that he got, like, that's a week's pay, and that's why there's nobody there. But he's fucking jizzing all over himself about the carts that are chained together that you put a coin in to get the cart, and that way no cart gets stolen off the fucking and wheeled off the parking lot over to a homeless encampment under a bridge, and like, isn't this the greatest? And it's like, you stupid fucking asshole, have you never been to a fucking Aldi in your own country? Like, he's a fucking moron. And then he sits there looking at the evil fucking Prince of Darkness, 30 plus year dictator of Russia, former KGB agent. I mean, you should just call it the Soviet Union to conjure up the same level of, like, this is a fucking bad guy. And he's just, you know, they're like Russian tools of trying to so he's sitting there, and this Russian dissident, Alexei Navalny, who's in prison. I don't like closely follow Russian politics by any means at all. But like when something like this happens, you have to read up, and you got to read the backstory, and you got to bone up on what the hell just happened and find out who these people are. So this guy was the leader of an opposition party. Like, so Putin's been in power for, I want to say 30-something years, and there might have been a small interruption in there somewhere. I don't remember, but he's been, and it's allegedly by election, but the elections are fixed. But there's still other people that try to run against him in opposition parties, but they jail a lot of them. And this guy's been in jail for a long time, and his name is Oleg. And he kills a lot of people by poison. So, anyways, this guy got poisoned and killed and died. He had already been poisoned once, then almost died, but he'd been in prison for a long time. But they still get to put their voice out there when they're in prison. And he had a wife that was out on the outside, and she kind of took up his mantle afterwards. I'm not sure where that's at right now, but this was like about a half a year ago, maybe. Maybe it was even a year. I lose track of time. But not long after Tucker's, like within days of Tucker's visit to Russia, so he could go show us an Aldi because he's never seen one, and sit there across Putin like a fucking confused puppy dog, and let him just spin his fucking web of evil. Within a few days of that, this guy Alexei Navalny died, and Tucker got that happened because Tucker made that happen because they try really hard. The president Biden was no great shakes. Trust me, I told you I didn't like any of them all the way back until we get to Carter. That's who I like. Sometime I'll tell you about each different one and why. Biden did the best, the fuck by the let's go Brandon and the Biden crime family and all that shit. I mean, you're talking about the master criminal. Trump is the master criminal con man of all time. Yes, the rest of them are all. They don't even come close. So you're buying a bunch of bullshit about Biden's a politician like all the rest of the fucking smarmy politicians who have fucked up families that they try to take care of and whatever, and people are living off of their power and shit like that. And yeah, that's nothing new, and it's rife throughout the entire Congress, which is a complete dysfunctional mess for a long time, teetering on the edge of collapse right now, with a court that has been pretty much fully bought by Leonard Leo. You need to learn about Leonard Leo. It's very important. Leonard Leo. He's my age, and he's from Long Island. He's probably a similar upbringing. I'm Irish Catholic. He's Italian Catholic. So when I think about my journey of, how should we say this? I mean, let's just break it down to abortion, because that's what it is all about. My evolution of understanding that abortion is it's just one of many unfortunate realities that are necessary. And when it is necessary, all you should do is have compassion. And if it's not you, you have no business saying anything about it or trying to stop it or anything like that. And I think most normal people who grew up Catholic in my era evolved to some form of that, varying degrees. But it's the rare, very, very rare person, 55 years old, Irish Catholic, Boston area, Greater Boston, all around Newton, Boston, Allston, Brighton, Dorchester, Charlestown, Irish Catholic, Italian Catholic, same age, Long Island, New York. Right? Very rare person who stays or actually not stays isn't the right word, because becomes progressively more zealous in the official church position, the other direction of abortion is a sin. Well, even if you accept that church that doesn't And this was, it's very interesting because being Catholic in the United States at the beginning was something that the old guard was suspicious of, and the Catholics had to convince them, whether it was JFK, John F. Kennedy in the 60s, or I want to say Reagan even might have been Catholic, pretty sure. I don't know. I mean, he was already divorced and he was a Hollywood actor, so I just know the name is Irish, but maybe he wasn't a Catholic. He might not have been actually a Catholic. I don't know. Isn't there another one? I don't remember. But, you know, Catholics always had to, and it wasn't just on the abortion question. Originally, Catholics had to convince the electorate and convince the government, like the parties, the powers, that they wanted to join, right? They had to convince them that their allegiance to the Pope would never trump. We can't let that word go away from its meaning as a verb, because it's an important word. It's got nothing to do with doing. We can't let their allegiance to the Pope trump their allegiance to, some would say, this country, or some might say the Constitution, or whatever, America. This, us. So the president, the Congress, the laws of the United States, and the courts that, you know, rule on those laws, right? The Pope can issue commands that Catholics, some would say, are supposed to follow, right? So the Catholic politician in America always had to pledge, you know, that they would keep their religion private, and in their public affairs and in their service to the country, the Pope would never trump any kind of allegiance to our country, our laws, that whole thing. So it's very different now, because what has happened is this guy Leonard Leo infiltrated, that's the word, infiltrated a fraternity, a legal fraternity called the Federalist Society. I don't know if infiltrated is once he got in there, he while gaining control of it, at the same time also steered its mission. It was a dually focused. So it's basically, I guess infiltrated is the right word. So what it was a libertarian group, and libertarians by philosophy, they want their personal freedom, and they don't want a government to interfere with it. That's what they want, right? And they get worried when the government gets, in their mind, too big. So it's understandable. But it's just when you talk about economically, I think people always need to understand that the tax, even if you make the government small, you chop it down to 1 million pieces, like what they're talking about. We cut all these programs that you think are making, you know. So taking care of the poor is part of taking care of your people, right? That's part of, you want to have a healthy, thriving, safer, happier, more peaceful community. Do you want that? Or do you want to have fear and anger and violence and hatred and despair? And is that what you want? Because you can have the latter one if you leave it up to people who are only focused on the bottom line to take care of shit, right? To privatize everything. Our healthcare system. You can't take care of everybody that way. But, if you have the government take care of everything, maybe it's going to cost more money. But, yeah, of course it's going to cost more money. But, you could do a lot more for the people that need it. And the government does, though, do a lot for poor people and a lot of preventative stuff, and just giving people a chance, helping to try to maybe level the playing field somewhat from some of the, you got to read about horrible shit that people have gone through and are still here and need help to try to get better. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing. What we're supposed to be here. So, politically, they talk about communism and socialism and capitalism. Those are, I guess, economic, right? And capitalism has, for most of our lifetimes in this country, been held up as like the ideal. Socialism is actually more what we had. I mean, it's been gradually over the past several decades becoming more and more free capitalist to the detriment of the much more robust socialist government that we had, starting with the New Deal to pull us out of the Depression, and then carrying on for several decades, but then starting to come under attack with Reagan and then continuing. So now, I mean, and there's a whole thing about the way that that woke has been, the word has been weaponized by people who turn it into something bad when it really just is, co-opting a word that means, hey man, I know what's up. I'm to claiming that the people in power who make no mistake, I sound like Bernie Sanders. Make no mistake. I do not let off, excuse the academic elite, academia. So I went to a Jesuit college preparatory high school and did very well. I went to a public university because I had already started working. I was working all through high school already, and I've been working my whole life ever since, and I needed to work, and I did not have or experience the opportunity of joining. I couldn't. I didn't. I was trying. So I didn't go away to college, and I couldn't. I would have been. I went to law school many years later after working as a nurse for a long time. I tried to become a high school teacher, but I botched the timing. I was working in the hospital the whole time, and the teachers were getting laid off, and I was trying to be a social studies teacher, but I had taken AP history classes in high school, and then when I went to college after not doing any school at all for a year between, because I was trying to go to New York, but I ended up having to move out and set up in Boston, and then just ended up staying, and then decided to go to school and was going to be the teacher and the radio DJ, and and moved to New York. The answer came from, I was going to drive an ambulance down there, but I was already set up in Dorchester, so I never left. And I tried to get on the ambulance in Boston, but I couldn't. That's another story. But so these people in academia, and actually we can extend this to the punditry class that write all the columns in all the newspapers like the Washington Post and the New York Times, and experts, pundits in any form, really, I guess, podcasters, their work is to just fucking blow smoke. Is that what it is? I guess. And I work and think about all this shit, and I'm finally trying to blow some smoke because they fucked it off so much. So they like, people are still, it's happening right now, and these writers are still just writing their stuff, and like they're still managing to get their little bits of humor in there, and some of them, not all of them, but and what the fuck, what's the fucking laugh about? Like, hats off to all the people who are walking away, like Jennifer Rubin and Ann Telney from the Post because of Jeff Bezos's capitulation to Trump, $1 million capitulation, and then some. Trump, sure. And then you're just going to hang around and stay there, and I guess maybe that's a defense mechanism to justify to yourself why you're staying there, to throw in the gallows humor and make it, I don't know, but there's nothing to laugh about with this right now. It's very, very disturbing what's happening. Oh, good God. So, Tucker's got a lot of really vile women hatred that is quoted. Now, this shit is not fake. It's real. So when you read about it, you realize. And then there's a spin machine that happened in response to try to discredit it, but that's phony. So just read the original source material. Same thing with like the George Floyd trial. Go to YouTube and just watch the fucking trial. That's all. Watch the testimony. Watch the kids. And then we'll talk. Don't listen to anybody's opinion about it, or commentary about it, or produced video about it, or anything like that. Just watch the fucking trial. That's what you do. That is what spurred the organic. People just came out into the streets all over the world. It happened all over the world. Because you'll see the recognition of the humanity in Perry, George, and the lack of recognition of the same humanity by the guy, to varying degrees, all four of the cops. But so sad. So, but that's different. But the story you got to read about to get the Tucker vile language about women is it's deposition material from is it called the Smartmatic voting case? I think so. There was two, and I think one was supposedly still pending. I don't know, maybe. But the big one that settled right before they were about to lose for $797 million. It's damn near close to $1 billion, isn't it? I mean, I guess it's more than 2/3 of the way there. Christ, it's more than 3/4, as a matter of fact. It's that trial. I think so. Or you know what? It might not be. It might even be one of those sex harassment ones. There's different ones. What's his name? Bill O'Reilly got sued. So women who worked at the network. It was a fucking. I mean, Texas was drunk there most of the time, right? The dude's fucking out of control. Personally, he's a fucking sex, serial. He had a second woman. He was married to his second wife, but had the third one pregnant or something when he was raping the chick in Monterey or something like that. But the dude's fucking out of control, fall down drunk. But he's full of himself. He's a fucking raging egomaniac, and he's got the big tattoos on. He joined the military he was already a radical Republican activist drunk before he joined up with the Guard, because that's to pad your resume, right? So you can do. He's a fucking poser. He's a fucking poser, is what he is. Okay. And what I was saying before about Korean War vets and Vietnam vets, watch the 70s cop shows. Sometimes they're the bad guy in uniform at the airport. They're just like anybody else, right? And that's because everybody in the fucking country had that experience together. Black, white, Jewish, Lebanese, Irish, Italian, all different people, starting with Korea or even before, according to Don, who was in Korea at 17 with the Marines. That, and if you read some World War II stuff, they had separate regiments colored and white, but there was, if you're on the ground, you know who the good people are that you need, and sometimes it's the black ones, and they knew that before Korea. It's like on the ground is always talk to somebody who was there. But this thank you for your service stuff that started with the Iraq interminable war that George W. Bush and his Cheney and Rumsfeld people started, that lasted for 20 years, Iraq and Afghanistan. That whole thank you for your service and at the NFL games and all that shit, and it was after 9/11, and thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. It's empty because the majority of people don't. We should, everybody should do some military service, and they should be able to do a 2-year hitch, and then people say, oh, it costs too much to train them up for 2. It's to the country's benefit to have everybody, and you don't need to make every fucking person have. They've been trying to downsize the military, right? So they make longer hitches, you got to sign up, and they take different, like, they take a lot of people that are fucked up too, right? And it's a bureaucracy, and there's a lot of fucked up people rising through the ranks too. So there's some really good people, and there's some also really fucked up people. And sometimes the way you rise is just by going along with shit. And so I tried 4 different fucking times to get into the military. Well, the first time I wouldn't say tried. I looked into it, went down there. Went down to the Navy, Summer Street, when I was only like maybe 21, and so I wasn't. I had no kids yet. I wasn't. I was working already though. I might have been. I can't remember if I had started nursing school. I backed and forth, so I went to college. High school, 87, graduated. Next year, nothing for school. Next year, started UMass Boston, which I had to write a fucking letter to get into because they rejected me when I applied, and I had I could have gone into BC, right? But I couldn't pay for BC, so I was just trying to go to UMass Boston, and I had a fucking apartment. I was already on my second apartment because the Dorchester one that I had to take with a roommate just to be able to afford it. I ended up kind of carrying the whole thing myself and carrying the roommate, and it was getting to be too much, and I found a little smaller pad in the South End for just myself, and now I'm trying to start going to school, and they fucking reject me, and I had to write a letter and fucking reverse affirmative action myself into you can't fucking tell me I can't go to UMass Boston because I went to BC High and I should be going somewhere better. Fuck you. And I got in, and then I went down there and went to the commuter school, and with the kids that were all working and going to school, some aimless, some doing whatever, and I was too I knew everything, so I didn't. Well, guidance counselor, I'm not going to talk to somebody about I know what I need to do, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Of course I didn't know what I did. So I should have started with Western Civilization, but I didn't need to because I had already taken Modern European History. But that was my junior year of high school, and then there was my senior year, and then there was another year, and now it's this year, and that's when I should have been starting to learn Western Civilization that I didn't really even learn because Modern European wasn't even the full Western Civilization, it's just part of it. So I didn't take Western Civilization because I just was I was trying to be on a mission, and I was able to skip that and go to the second year courses, my first year of fucking college, and take 265 U.S. History 1. And it was a lot of fucking reading, a lot to keep up with, and it was kind of a whirlwind of a class. I took some of it in, but I missed a lot too because I didn't read all the shit I was supposed to read by a stretch, and couldn't fake it in history with that as much as you could in English. In English, it's fucking easy because you can intend to read the book, but then you have to work, and you can't read the book. And you can go to class, and within 15 minutes, you know what the book's all about because of the class discussion, and then pretty soon it just becomes a discussion of whatever the book was about, which is just some part of life. And next thing you know, you're in the conversation, and you can contribute to. It got to the point where I would go to class feeling guilty about having so much to say in these discussions about books that I hadn't even fucking cracked, that I would go in there saying, just shut up, just don't say anything. You don't need to fucking comment on this book today that you haven't fucking read for once in your life. Yeah. So I think I took maybe the two, US, maybe I did 2 also. And I was taking English classes, just randomly, different this and that and whatever. And I took some core courses. I was avoiding math and science, until I had to. And I'm taking all these varying liberal arts, philosophy, psychology, sociology. I took them all. Like I said, several different English classes. Economics even. But I wanted to be a social studies teacher, not any of this other stuff, and I really needed to have a good foundation in history. And I realized, after going into my second year of college, that I didn't know anything about Western civilization, and I can't go back. I think I couldn't go back and take it because I had already taken 200 level class, they wouldn't let me take a 100 level class, and I was kind of fucked. So I wasn't going to be able to major in history, which is what I had hoped to do. And maybe I could have, but I would have had to take all these upper level history classes, and I just knew I needed to know Western Civ, and I couldn't, and so I fucking just started taking more and more English classes, and I was just thinking, well, and they had these like education classes that you had to take, and Jesus, those were terrible. 2 different ones. So I was trying to get a teaching certificate, and then I figured once I have a teaching certificate, I could probably teach whatever, so I just need to get a degree in something. So I'll probably just get a degree in English. When you count up all the credits and what do you need? Well, I'm the closest to getting one in English, so I might as well just stick with that. So that's how that happened. But mind you, I was only in my like 3rd year of it when I was like, the teachers are getting all laid off. It seems like you could potentially not even be able to get a job as a fucking teacher. And I'm working in the hospital the whole fucking time I'm doing this, right? And the whole time I'm an orderly, that's like what they used to call a nursing assistant. I did every little job though. I worked in security, I would transport, pushing the patients around. But once I became an orderly in the ER, then there was a lot of more hands-on medical type stuff. And I always had nurses in my ear saying, oh, you should just go to nursing school, you make so much money, we need guys, blah, blah, blah. There was very few guys, and it wasn't anything I wanted to do at that time. This is going way off the fucking track. So I'm supposed to be talking about Tucker Carlson and so history. Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to talk about. So never mind the nursing. That continues on and on and on, but that's the bulk of what I have made my living at and raised my family on, and still tied to it. Tied to that paycheck. 7 years of lawyering in the middle. Finally putting the bottle down is when I finally put the lawyering down. Tiptoed my way back into the hospital. It's been a long time now. And so yeah, there was sexual harassment suits. I want to say Roger Ailes also at Fox News and Bill O'Reilly. So it could have been one of those, but I want to say I think it was in the voting one actually, because it was just disparaging things. I think it might have been some of them was text with his brother. Vile, just the way a person would think about a human woman and talk about her it's disgusting. He's not a good guy. He's a sick fuck is what he is. He's a sick fuck. He's a disdainful. If you watch him on Dancing with the Stars, he sits in the chair. He doesn't even fucking get up. He puts one leg out, puts the other leg out. It's called disdain. I'm too bored and good and I'm just asking. He's an evil fuck and he's a stupid fuck. That's what he is. Because he doesn't even realize what a fool he is with Putin. Although 3 days ago I read a stunning alleged quote to him where he was apparently responding to a question about Alexei Navalny's murder right after his little visit, and it said something along the lines of sometimes leaders need to kill people. This fucking guy. So his son is now working for J.D. Vance. His son Buckley, who was named after William F. Buckley, who I guarantee you if he was still alive, he would be screaming at what the fascists have done to the American conservative movement. But they're just the fascists, which is Tucker and Elon, whose grandfather was a Nazi sympathizer, who moved the family from Canada to South Africa in the 1950s when the white apartheid state was instituted in South Africa, because he liked the idea of the way they were dealing with the native question. These are die-hard white supremacists. I mean, Elon Musk does not have any soul, so you see him jump up and down like a fucking robot? Like, can you see Elon Musk catching a groove and dancing? these people don't. He's a sick. Oh, he's autistic. He's just awkward. He's a fucking white supremacist, test tube baby making freak who is still trying to grow a beard, even though he's got a testosterone deficiency, like an overgrown child with a million fucking kids. Some of them with numbers for names. One of them who, like pretty much everybody I'm sure that you know and I know, has a kid who's, I'm saying everybody knows somebody. I'm not saying everybody has one of his kids, because he's got so many, is transgender, identifies as whatever, I don't know the details of it, whatever it is. He disowns the child publicly. He's so fucking Twitter, right? Like, have some fucking dignity and have some fucking self-control and shit. But this dude is manipulating markets and world events by his crazy whims, and he's the richest man in the world, and instead of helping in a time of need, like when California's on fire, he's just sitting up all night throwing shade, right? And he's putting all this money in his pocket, and they want to slim down the government, like the way NASA used to be the fucking government, but now NASA is really just him, and maybe Jeff is hoping to supplant him a little bit, but Musk, never mind, like Musk supposedly knows about global warming and doesn't deny the fact that we got some issues with the warming climate and fucking sea levels rising and the instability in the atmosphere and the more severe storms of all kinds, and the way that carbon emissions in the ozone layer is. I mean, have you not been hearing about the ozone layer since you were a fucking kid? And Lysol and shit like that. Like, shit didn't just get fucking made up, okay? So, and I'm not saying I'm running my fucking gasoline engine the entire time I'm sitting here talking, right? Yeah. But I just put flowers under the windshield of the Tesla up the street that is parked that has a bumper sticker on it. It made me so happy. It's the first one I've seen. It said, "Fuck you, Elon Musk. I will never buy a Tesla again." And I hope they get them, and I hope it makes them happy, because that's a lot of integrity and it's bravery too. So yeah, so this is all, so Bannon has some crazy world mastery fucking, he's an anti-woke obsessive too. He knows he's crazy, but that doesn't stop him from being dangerous. So these people all have radical agendas that they know that the majority, because even though if you're in the cult, you feel like it's a lot of people that have bought onto this fucking, yeah, the woke fucking elites and fucking, listen, I understand. I work for the man, and I have to do my fucking training, DEI, we'll call it, the flavor of whatever we're going to call it, but I have to do all my harassment training, all these different things, and I have to suffer through the fucking hypocrisy of the shit that I have to do for the people who I know are not ethical, good, caring people about right and wrong. I know about right and wrong, and I know how to treat people with dignity, and that's what, I don't need, but I'm not a racist, and I aspire to continue to learn about and appreciate more deeply women of all races, because like I said, I'm not a racist, but I'm not a misogynist, but I recognize those things in other people when I see them. So you have to see the humanity in all people. So there are evil people of all kinds. There are evil Jews. There's the criminal I can never say this fucking guy's name. He's considered to be one of the most powerful. He's Russian mafia. He's a Ukrainian Jew who Seminovich, what the fuck is the guy's name? He's got a nickname too, but I can't think of that either. He got his start by selling passage to Israel when the state was getting created after World War II, and stealing all his fellow Jews, right? I mean, he's a Jew. He's stealing all of their fortunes on fraudulent trips that never happened or whatever like that, or stealing their stuff in transit or different things like that. He's a criminal, and he's associated with Putin, and he's highest level. There's a fucking Texas senator who retired from the Senate and went to become this guy's personal lawyer, and then he had a son who was running the FBI too. It's fucking, there's some weird intrigue and shit. But this guy's he's a fucking, you know, he controls a lot of I think narcotics trade and smuggling and all kinds of different, like, look at one eye, like closed a little bit, mustache. Wikipedia, read about it. Wikipedia entries can definitely be propagandized. It's not that common that I see one that's like, oh wow, Jesus, somebody really went to town on this shine job. And sometimes they can be a little fucking too. It's a place to check. It's not the end all be all of anything, but yeah, there's bad Jews. I mean, there's bad Arabs. Arabs are still people, right? They're people. There's bad black people. There's some bad black people. There's a lot of really bad white people. Yes, there is. Irish, Italian, Wasp, Yankee, German, Russian, Polish, Ukrainian, Lithuanian, Swedish, Southern. Drifters. Wealthy people. Yeah, there's a lot of bad of every. Let's not say a lot. There's bad people of every kind of people. But at their foundation, the majority of every kind of people, every kind, every one of those kinds of people that I just said, or even mix in between. I didn't say anything about Orientals. I was gonna say Asians, but that encompasses so much more than what I meant when I said Orientals, so I figured I'd just short circuit the conversation and go to that part. So I know most people know who I'm talking about with that, but now that I've said about Asians, let's also talk about Indians and all the different, you know, I'm just moving around the world with my hands now, and I'm hoping that people are conjuring some of the different people from different parts of the world that are all part of our human community. Every single part of Africa is a big continent too, with lots of different kind of people. That whole expanse, I guess, I don't know how many people there is up there relative to how much land there is, but stretching across eastern Russia and western China in the middle, like some of them, Uzbekistan, like the people, all the, I'm picturing people and how they look and the different things. Every single one of those kind of people, from the blackest black person to the palest white person, and everything in between, with every kind of eyes and every kind of hair and every kind of hustle and aura. All of them, they're a human, just like you, just like me. Everything that we go through in life as a human, for the most part, they all do too. Like, we have so much in common. When you think about animals, let's just say birds, for instance, right? when you talk about black people, white people, Chinese people, Japanese people, Afghani people, Iraqi people, Lebanese people, Israeli Jews, Disraeli gears. I just said that because I thought it would sound funny. But I was going to say other kind of Jews, right? Like Israeli is German Jews, Russian Jews, Sephardic Jews, like Arab Jews, Long Island Jews, Southern California Jews. Any one of those people, there's a lot more people than that. I got a little far afield with my Jewish friends. And I didn't even scratch the surface of my Arab friends. Well, my Chinese and Japanese, I said, and I didn't mention Korea. And I didn't even consider Thailand or Vietnam or Laos, Myanmar, or Malaysia, or Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, South America. How about the Aborigines? How about the Micronesians, the Melanesians? Yeah. So all of those are just people. Birds. Thousands of different kinds of birds. I mean, each one is a different species. So the Canada geese and the great blue heron, the crows, the seagulls, the ducks, the loons, sparrows, the pigeons, the blue jays, the robins, all these different birds that share this space together peacefully, basically. They're all different species. Any one of those species, what we think makes us different, those are just differences within one species. We're all the same. So that's important to know, to feel, and accept. And just accept isn't the right well. To be open to receive that awareness. That's what it is. So I've had enough about Tucker and Elon. Leonard Leo is obsessed with ending abortion. There's an obsession with abortion among Catholics. For him that's what it is, but I'm going to explain why people get fixated of all the evils and all the suffering. I've seen a lot of, I'd be willing to wager that I've seen in my work as a nurse and a lawyer over the last, about 40 years of being in those two environments and living life and working in the emergency room and all around the hospital and in the community and in court and in the jail and in the community, and I've seen a lot of suffering. And I wonder how much suffering the pundits like Tucker and Chris Rufo and Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and the political hacks that have taken the punditry to trying to just have power, like DeSantis and Francis has seen suffering because he was in Guantanamo, but he's not wired correctly, and he doesn't. He's not. I don't think he doesn't. He's blind. He's blind to the human suffering right before him. He's blind to it. Let's just say it that way. But the reason that Leo and people like him who are obsessed with abortion, when there's all this other suffering that goes on in the world, I mean, I'm not going to start listing it, but, you know, just think of children who are born, right? Children who are born. And young teenagers and adults. And, well, think of all the bad people. If you just like to conjure up bad guys and evil people, think of them. And then try to think about their childhood and imagine that they may have been, or just read about it, learn about it, and you're probably going to find that many of the people who became very evil suffered quite a bit of evil themselves. That's not to say that suffering evil means you're going to be evil. Quite the contrary. We're strong. We're fragile, but we're strong, and we can and do, and will continue to overcome. But not everybody does. It's our job to try to help everybody too. But, you know, some people, for a variety of different reasons, go bad, choose evil. And there's a lot of that right now. There's a lot of people who have chosen evil and are really working overtime on implementing their devious plans. So they found a guy who doesn't respect election results and refuses to admit defeat, and that's only because of his own personal pathology that he can't admit defeat. But you know, he got really. See, I missed the entire Apprentice thing because I tuned out on reality TV when the first Survivor. Like I recoil from exploitation. I just recoil from exploitation, and that's what reality TV is. It's exploitation. And so The Apprentice was exploitation, but I wasn't aware. I knew that this guy that I knew was just a fucking, you know, blowhard, serial bankruptcy filer, publicity hound, fucking publicity whore. I knew that this guy had this show, you know, that I've known forever, and I know what he's all about. I knew that he had a fucking show, but there's a million of those shows, right? There really was, and I wasn't paying any attention to it. I guess I didn't realize it was on for as long as it was. I didn't know anything about that it was a fucking Brit, who I believe is now one of the fucking ridiculous appointees, or coming. Burnett, I think his name is, maybe Tim, but definitely Burnett, who created the fucking show, which is a complete fiction. The character that he portrayed, that he carried to the White House, is not who. He's not a successful businessman. He's a serial fucking deadbeat. He doesn't pay his bill. He inherited a lot of money and property, and he blew a lot while he was calling up the New York tabloids under the name, saying he was John Barron, which was really just him feeding them stories about him, Donald Trump, so that he could have his name in the paper. He was learning at the feet of Roy Cohn, the gay lawyer who worked for, what the fuck was he? Roy Cohn was a devious, fucking ruthless, cutthroat New York. Read about Roy Cohn, and read about Roger Stone, and Don saw in New Jersey in a restaurant those three sitting together years and years ago. That's three really fucking rotten, evil people. I actually, well, yeah. So Trump has been the anti-abortion movement, the infiltrate the Supreme Court with Catholics. that are loyal to these. So Leo and these type of Catholics, they actually don't even like the Pope we have, Pope Francis. They hate him because, and there's a whole element of the Catholic Church that's trying to undermine him. They think he's, if you're on the other side of things, you might say, he still continues to espouse the traditional doctrine and periodically reinforce that they still think X, Y, and Z is like, he's not saying, sure, being gay is fine and abortion is fine. He's not saying that. And he's periodically reminding people that he's not saying that, which irritates people who also really should, in my opinion, acknowledge and receive the other fact that he is also radiating and emanating compassion for everyone. And he is also chastising his peers for being too judgmental, which is to say, in a way, to remind us, if you go to Scripture, ours is not to judge, it's God's job to judge. If it's not our job to judge. But there's a lot of self-appointed judges. A lot of self-appointed judges. And these people who are in the business of judging other people as to whether or not they're worthy of compassion and whether or not they're worthy of mercy and whether or not they're, Jesus commanded that we love the least of his brothers, the poor, the unclean, we're all humans and we have to love everyone, but it's only for God to say this one is a sinner, this one doesn't deserve, this one is, that's not, I wouldn't say that God, that this one is a sinner, that was the people, that was what I was trying to show, the people that I'm saying shouldn't be doing that, because if anyone's going to judge, it's only God's job. So that's a better way to say that, because I'm not imagining God doing this. I'm telling the story of the people who I see doing this when I say that. So those people who are in the business of judging other people's worth and deservingness of anything, they're obsessed with other people's sins. So they conjure, obviously, the miracle of life, that's a life inside a woman growing and eventually coming out. Yes, that's a life. And we all know that, if it can't, there's a lot of different ways it can happen, and it can be really, really bad, getting that way. It can be beautiful and great, and that's how we keep going, but it can be a lot of other things too. So when it has to come out, we hope we can get it out early, right? And we just try to be kind and compassionate. And whenever it comes out wrong sometimes on its whatever, we got to be compassionate to everybody and everything and everybody that is there always. Be compassionate and kind and respectful. But the people who are in the business of judging, pretty much as soon as you hit the air and you start crying, I wonder how long it is before, they think you sin, right? But they're full of, they're just completely obsessed with the innocent, those little pictures of the fetus curled up in the head and the sleeping in the peace, and it's not even born yet, the baby that's still forming, the innocent life that hasn't come into this dirty, horrid, harsh, cruel, bloody world. The innocent life that hasn't even been born yet, the innocent, the most deserving, the innocent. That's why the obsession with abortion. The fact is that innocent is inside another person's, not yours, body. That's the end of the story as far as you're concerned, okay? If you're trying to say you got something to say about it, other than I'm sorry, how can I help? You know? So, if that's not what you're saying, you should shut the fuck up. But he's on a mission. He's got 1 million kids. He had a daughter with spina bifida. That's the kind of baby that, you know, I mean, my mother had a baby with anencephaly, which is even fucking worse, because you can't live with that, because the hole's at the top of your fucking spine where your brain is, instead of at the bottom where, you know, where you end up paralyzed and pissing on yourself. But, you know, I had a friend with spina bifida that I used to carry down to the beach, a little girl that I kind of had a little baby crush on when we were little fucking kids. My arms always smelled pissy. You have to carry her. And but my brother never came home from the hospital. Died after 9 hours, but he still got a headstone. I mean, he got his name on the headstone of my grandparents. I think he went in there before either one of them did. As a matter of fact, I know he did, because he went in there in 1975. It wasn't until 1979. No, yeah, 79. That Grandpa went in, and then not until 87, I think. Martin Joseph, 1975, 9 hours. Hole in his head. Yeah, so listen, and doctors, I've been working around them my whole life, and I spent a lot of time in the operating room. I'm under no illusions that just because they're a doctor, everyone is, you know, a moral person. Far from it. There's a lot of ego, and there's a lot of questionable stuff that goes on. I'll be honest, for me, in vitro fertilization, if it requires, whatever, I don't even know how the different ways they do, but implanting a bunch of embryos, knowing that most of them aren't going to take, but on the off chance that like too many of them do, you just go in and take out however many you decide is enough to have the, like, I don't like that. That's like creating an abortion needing to happen, and I think that's wrong. So I never say I'm offended, because I feel like, who the fuck is anybody to be offended? I'm not offended, I'm hurt, but my first thought when I'm about to say this thing was, I'm offended. But when Roe v. Wade was struck down by Samuel Alito's pompous fucking Dobbs decision there, that his wife leaked at the dinner table to their friends before the decision was handed down, and that he lied, this Supreme Court justice lied. It's only one of many, many things, but he actually got indignant about, you know, investigating, tried to say it was fucking left-wing activists that were behind this leak, and a mole in this book. Like, what a fucking asshole. He's a Republican operative, and he's a fucking pussy. They got crazy wives, him and Thomas, both. Liar. When that decision came down, striking down the federal right to an abortion before viability, which there had been plenty of jurisprudence in between 1973 and the present in determining what's viability, what's a standard, what's fair. Like, obviously we can't be like, you know, just deciding that, you know, 9 months, oh, I just woke up and realized I was pregnant, and there's nothing wrong with the baby, and there's nothing wrong with me, but I just don't feel like having a baby. Sorry I waited so long, and like, can you take it out? And like, they give you myths, they give you horror story anecdotes and myths to try to make it sound like it's fucking mass murder of crazy fucking, like, and that's insanity. But you got to draw a line somewhere, and there was a lot of back and forth talk, men and women, earnest, some very, some not so much, whatever. It was settled law, and women had a right to safe reproductive health care anywhere in the country. And the anti-abortion zealot lunatics, for reasons I just explained, were obsessed with ending abortion throughout the country, and part of the whole libertarian movement was returning things to the states and letting the states have the rights. But the government has been so corrupted at every level that people don't vote equally at all. Elections are completely corrupted by money at every level, and politicians themselves are as well. So, like, that's the government. And so yeah, it's guess. But in theory, when they try to say, oh, let the people in each state decide what they want to do, and then states where people are more susceptible to propaganda, maybe more inclined to vote for laws that restrict abortion and cause women to die unnecessarily. So that was a watershed moment when that happened within the last year, I think, right? And Christ, was it longer? Yeah, it was. Biden was still president when that happened, right? Yeah, it was. Trump put them in there, but it didn't happen until, okay, yeah. I think it was about a year ago. It's been that long? I think it's been right about that long. There's a lot of, trying to respond. I forgot what I was going to say about that. Well, about when the Dobbs decision came down, when the national right to abortion ended in the states. Some states now can outlaw abortion. Well, anyway, I'm just saying that's just so them, the academic right-wing contrarians, the so-called anti-woke people. That's another interest group. So the anti-abortion radicals, the who hate women, okay, the and are mostly racist. The anti-woke quote-unquote people, they are absolutely racist and misogynist. That's a different interest group. The oligarchs, these fucking weenies, like, that are not even great men. Did you see watch Elon Musk's speech before he gives his Nazi salute? The dude, you want to talk about pathetic oratory? Like, this is not a great man. This motherfucker has no reason to be the richest motherfucker in the world. He didn't invent electric cars. He bought a fucking company. He didn't invent rockets and space. He buys fucking companies with other people's money and gets grants from our fucking government and our tax dollars, and he's not even supposed to be in the fucking country because he came here on a fucking visa from South Africa that meant he was supposed to be in school, and he was too smart to stay in school at Berkeley, and instead he moved into a fucking garage in Silicon Valley and started his little fucking company. And I think was it PayPal? To this day, I can't get over the fact that these fucking billionaire nerds that created a fucking way to securely pay with shit online. Like, I pay with my fucking credit cards online when I need to, and your credit card companies fucking protect you. It's secure. You don't need a fucking third party. I don't understand that at all. How that is so fucking valuable, that's how these people all got their first big payoff that they could then turn into all their fucking pyramid Ponzi schemes of crypto and fake shit and buy this. Yeah, he's got some good hunches. Like, yeah, because he's gonna go to Mars, and why don't you go to fucking Mars and let us fucking alone here? Give us back our fucking national space program and get the fuck out of our country, you Nazi fuck. So these all people are using Donald Trump, who is not. He doesn't give a fuck about abortion, and he's got racist tendencies and misogynist tendencies because he's just a complete, I mean, there's a lot of people who are close to this, and the group of people I just talked about, Elon probably close more so than many of the others, but Trump is a completely self-obsessed child he's probably terrified all the time. But he's wired all the time too, so that's why he shits himself. Oh my god! And it's just the couple things that have really kind of weighed on me this past few years that are the most depressing is two things. One is the number of people who are close to him and know what he is, and and stay close to him and suck up to him and feed, because what these people have all realized is this guy has charisma and magnetism, and he has learned that he can master this game of politics because he's ruthless, and he learned it all from the ruthlessness from Roy Cohn. His father was a fucking vicious person who he would never, like, he learned ruthlessness from a lot of different people. His cold mother, his, you know, the coldness about the alcoholic dreamer brother that died young, and he was not, you know, he's a fucking ruthless, fucking calculating, but he's charming because he does want to be loved, and some of these other people don't even care. They don't want to be loved. They're so in love with themselves, and Don still does want to be loved. That's why he wanted to be the president, and that's why I don't hate him as much as the rest of them, because I'm a kind person, and I cannot help but respond to a desperate person looking for some love. So I know that's what he is, but I know how fucking dangerous and malignant he is, and I'm trying to explain this to you guys. But these other motherfuckers, the Project 2025 people and all these other people, they know that the majority, especially if you didn't have the Murdoch people and the Carlson people and all these Bannon people and all these other media manipulators bringing on the ignorant, and I'm just going to say it that way, but you know, the MAGA Republicans, you're kind of dumb motherfuckers, all right? So I'm 55, and people used to, everywhere I went, I was always a little bit on the outside because I was the smart one, but everybody knew that I was the smart one, and I didn't lord it over people. I was embarrassed by it, but I'm a kind person, so I've made my way through life, and I've learned how to carry myself in a way that's, you know, works out, not a target, and not threatening to anybody, and you know, I actually have some duende it's evolved into, and you know, people like me for the most part, and you know, I can navigate myself pretty comfortably through a lot of different places in life, and but I also see a lot of people who are still fronting, and anyway, but what I was saying is, you stupid motherfuckers used to know and acknowledge that I was smart. But it's been a good 20 years of Facebook, right? And I know a lot of you motherfuckers were on cable TV for a long time too, and maybe still are, but Facebook, right? I don't know how deep, if some of you are in so deep, it's hard to pull yourself out far enough to see what I'm trying to tell you about. But I'll start with, have some fucking self-control, okay? Try to limit it. Try to limit yourself. Just try. Resist. Don't just fucking completely give into it the way you had, but you did a long time ago. So you gotta, but that was the wrong thing to do. I did my research. No, you didn't do your research. You consumed an algorithmically tailored stream of propaganda that has played on your beliefs and some of your resentments, and it has caused you to scapegoat others, and that is to the benefit of some really bad people, because they need numbers. It's questionable how many numbers they need, but they need to at least be able to show that there's a movement, and you need fools to show up at these rallies. But it's also quite possible that they have, I mean, Trump's, one of his many tricks out of his playbook for a long, long time is flood the zone with accusations against your opponent, which Vance now openly just calls your enemies. This is what we're dealing with. But flood the zone, your opponent in negotiations or whatever it is, flood the zone with accusations of exactly what you are doing, but accuse them of doing it. And the incessant, which he got a whole army behind him to yes man him to death about it, and even all the people who watched the siege of the Capitol on a screen in real life as it was happening over several hours, a whole fucking day, knowing that he was holed up with everybody running to him to say, you gotta fucking dead, you gotta, Mr. G, you gotta, You got to go out there and tell these fucking people to stop. And he was, well, maybe they should hang Mike Pence. Maybe they the motherfucker could not admit that he lost that election. He lost that election and he could not admit it. So he had to say, because his ego required it, that it was a stolen election. And he went out with his mealy mouth speeches, with his sacred this and that, but he goaded this crowd of people who have been consuming all this titillating propaganda for months and years with their flags and their anger. They're gonna storm this fucking Capitol, and they're gonna get these liberal motherfuckers in Congress that have destroyed our country, and they're gonna fucking stop the certification of this fucking boogeyman Biden that has been elected to be president, because Donald Trump was reelected and everybody condemned him afterwards, but within a week they were groveling at his feet. And then within the time it took for him to win again, the groveling just continued. And the fucking whores from MSNBC make a pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago, and all the fucking whores from Amazon and Facebook and even Google made their $1 million donations to the inauguration, and just a suck-uppery. And he never heard of Project 2025. I don't know if you pay attention to any of the campaign, but he never heard it. But no, he doesn't. There's no plan. And from the moment he got elected, he started. It's like it almost makes me wonder, like, why is he? So he's doing his job. He's doing what he was hired to do. The deal he made with all of these motherfuckers is, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Just keep putting money in my pocket, and let me keep putting money in my pocket from wherever I can get it. And that's what's happening. So Donald Trump isn't, he's a racist. He got on the presidential stage in the first place by just insinuating and accusing and joining this whole Obama wasn't really born in the United States. He's an illegitimate president because he was not even born in this fucking country. No, Obama was born in Hawaii. His Kenyan father and his white mother from Kansas named Stanley, because her kooky father named her after himself, at the University of Hawaii. He's got a birth certificate from Honolulu, and that's where he was born. And then they split up, and then his mother moved to Indonesia with them and married somebody there. And he did spend some childhood in Indonesia, but he's an American citizen born in Hawaii. And that's a fact. And I didn't love Obama, and I still don't. I like his wife. I feel bad for her. But, that's just fucking racist bullshit. That's just, it's disgusting that you would support that, because it's complete fucking bullshit, false. But, and you can, then they just feed you all the political. So whether it's Howie Carr or whether it's fucking any one of these motherfuckers that are just whining about, even going back as far as Ted Kennedy or any of these the liberals and all this, and talking about the welfare recipients sponging off of it. The tax money that you pay, which you will still be paying, even if your libertarian government crumbles into nothing, you'll still be paying the same taxes, because all that money is going to go to all the corrupt places that it goes now, which is large defense contractors that are connected, pharmaceutical research that is just obscene profit, extreme, just gougery whores, private. It's money that we don't even know or understand, but it's the oligarchs. It's the 1% that Bernie talks about. That's where all your tax money goes, whether it's in the form of actual money or whether it's in the form of things that are being done that make them more money, instead of things that are being done to make our country better and make your life better with your tax money. So that's the party that talks about, well, let's do this for the people with the money and let's do that for the people. That's really what you should be trying to do. And granted, the tent is a little too big and unwieldy, and the transgender issue is a fucking red herring of all red herrings. But of course, it's also now become a fad. So listen, I don't love the idea of just saying whatever a person wants to do. It's a distracting tool that they used to carry him in. I mean, even if he brazenly likes to flaunt stuff that he's done sometimes, and it's a question about whether he said something to Mike. What the hell's the goofball's name? The fucking little creepy guy from Louisiana. That's the Speaker of the House, Johnson. He said to him, I think in addressing, in public, about that thing that we have arranged to make sure the vote is going to work. And he said to a crowd, well, I don't need any votes. We don't need votes. We got that all taken care of. And then now that he's in, he said something about, in his speech, I think, let's check myself, but I read about this. And Elon's really got those voting machines figured out. So, thank you, Elon, for Pennsylvania. So I would not be at all surprised if he actually didn't even win the fucking election and he just rigged it. Because, when you're the richest man in the world, which supposedly Elon is, there's pretty much a lot of fucking things that you can do. And it's classic Trump to scream for 4 or 5 years about Democrats stealing elections in the run-up for his intention of doing the exact same thing. So I wouldn't put any of that past any of them. Ivana being pushed down the stairs, fake assassination attempts, and rigged election machines. I'm not ranting and raving and screaming about it like the way the right does, because they've got an agenda of why they want to get you whipped up about it. I'm just saying that between you and me. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of everything. I was skeptical of Obama. I was skeptical of Bill Clinton. I was skeptical of both Bushes. I recognize Jimmy Carter as he's a human being with some frailty, with some weaknesses, but I recognize his innate goodness. And all the rest of them, there was some goodness in many of them, but I think it was outweighed by their ego in all cases. And with Carter, there's some ego, but the goodness is far above, and was throughout, in my perception. And we seem to be losing that kind of people from our midst, and I don't see a lot of that kind of people coming up in our midst. Elon's speech, when he came out on the stage and jumped around like a fucking grunting combination of a bear and a robot, and then came to the podium and in his South African automaton accent tried to give a profound little speech about, there are elections that some are, some are not important and some are not so important. This election was important, and thank you. It's like he's trying to say something. When you listen, watch some old fucking great speakers like Martin Luther King Jr. is one example. There's so many great orators that you can see and hear speak the English language in a compelling way, and this fucking guy is just a grunter, and he's got no business being the richest man in the earth. Mark Zuckerberg's a fucking weenie, is what he is. He's got no business being in control of the fucking information manipulation stream the way he is, all to the goal of his wealth and to the detriment of civil peace throughout the world. His platform is directly responsible for a lot of genocides, displacements, civil wars throughout the world. The way that the propaganda can be pushed through those mediums because of the algorithms that feed you what they can tell you are interested in for the purpose of getting money from you eventually. That's what it's all about. But it's not the way to form your worldview if you want to be right or healthy. So fuck Facebook and use it with extreme caution. I suggest you go to the stories only, where I post my artistic creations on Instagram with a lot of great music, and share them to Facebook. But don't read Facebook for news or opinion at all. And I'm gonna wrap it up for now. But we got big problems right now, and Look. See about kakistocracy and kleptocracy, and never mind worrying about the hypocrites pursuing DEI initiatives. And I guess I kind of sputtered on the transgender issue. I should address that before signing off. So the reason that let's set aside the sports teams and the bathrooms. Let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about surgery. When I think this issue really exploded into the public consciousness was when the subject of medical treatment for gender dysphoria, which I don't even think they use the phrase that much in the general discourse, but medical treatment for transgender youth, which sometimes could refer to hormones, which in itself is, not a small thing. But surgery is certainly an extreme. I mean, surgery by definition, for the most part, it's extreme hubris that would cause a person to consider any surgery to be reversible. I mean, okay, yeah, it is a thing that you can go back and try to get a tubal ligation undone, and they might be able to do it. But you don't get it in the first place if you think you're ever going to be looking for doing that. And you certainly don't have a sex change operation if you think you might change your mind in a couple of years. And it is a common is not the word, it is a long-standing fundamental tenet of the society that we used to have before we allowed it to start really crumbling with the trashification of culture when Reagan decentralized, allowed the media outlets to, took away the, stopped the fairness doctrine and allowed cable television to proliferate, and then removed the requirement of local ownership of media outlets so there would be accountability to the community, and you'd have good programming like the Movie Loft on Channel 38 and stuff like that, and allowed outside mercenaries who could pander to the lowest common denominator with trash TV and pushing the envelope with vulgarity, and just cash in and make money, and the benefit to the community be damned. That's what started in the 80s, I think is when it started, and it continued, and then the internet kicked off in the 90s, and pornography moved into that medium, and they never did anything about it in decades past. Democrats and Republicans allowed all this to happen. Democrats and Republicans allowed the military to metastasize. Democrats and Republicans allowed the money to just go to Mitch McConnell is an evil fucking person. And when Chuck Schumer stands there after Mitch's freezing spells and says, we just really, our dear leader McConnell, in this time of his, we want nothing but this motherfucker just for money, for Leonard Leo's money in his pocket, he just prevented. Now, granted, Merrick Garland turned out, I'm sorry to say it, Mr. Garland, turned out to be an incredible disappointment because the man was a judge, and he should have remained a judge because he was probably a very good judge, but he was definitely not a very good prosecutor, which is what the Attorney General is supposed to be, because he was so concerned with trying to look fair that he let Donald Trump, who, listen, motherfuckers, instigated an insurrection. That's what he did, and should never have been allowed to run for president again, because it really fucking happened, and no, BLM had nothing to do with it, and none of that shit is true. And all these fucking lunatics that he just let out of prison really did it. And a couple, I think 3 people declined the pardons because they have integrity, and you should learn about them too. All right, hold on. Am I running out of gas here? I've been talking for 2 hours. No, I still have gas. I keep trying to say transsexual, and that it's interesting that you can talk about when the transgender issue exploded, it was in the context of the idea of medical treatment for transgender youth, conjuring up fears of sex change operations, which, to be clear, could involve for a person who was born male. Now, there is no binary, some are male and some are female, and that's all there is. That is not true. There are people who are born where it's not entirely clear. Not a lot, but there are, and there always have been. And there's varying degrees. So you could say, in some of those cases, that a sex was assigned at birth, right? It is silly. PC is what they used to call it. Woke is what they're trying to call it. I reject that because I'm woke and I'm proud. But it is silly to pretend that everyone's gender was not just, they weren't born that way. No, that gender was assigned to them at birth. So that when a person, whether it's at 4 or whether it's at 14, expresses or is seen or is recognized to identify or states that they do as female, for instance, and let's say they are male, or maybe let's say they were assigned male, but if we're going to say it that way, we do probably, it would be prudent to say, well, when you say assigned male, was it ambiguous? No, it wasn't. He had a testicle, he had 2 testicles that were fully descended, and he had a penis that was normal. So he wasn't assigned male, he's a male. That's what it is. But this person identifies as a woman. And there's always been people like that. Always has been. Some of them are most, you know, so people with sexual stuff are often associated with the arts and have contributed. The arts is one of the most important, fundamental aspects of humanity. And to the extent people who are not cis, I think is the word the kids use now. But to the extent that people are not, you know, traditional, whatever, straight heterosexual cisgender male or straight heterosexual cisgender female, there could be any other kind of combination of things. Like people with all of those persuasions, might have been a way they would say it before. Identities, is that what they're trying to say now? And that's what I don't mean to say it, trying to say whatever. I'm just thinking about words. But I'm thinking about people is what I'm thinking. I'm picturing actual people lovingly, and I'm saying that people like that have always been overrepresented in the arts more so than in other areas, and thank God for them for that reason, because the arts is one of the, like, God help us without art. God help us anyway, but God help us without art. But it's been a long-standing tenet of society before TV and porn and all of a sudden the breaking down is like there was a paternalistic, didn't need to just necessarily mean a bad thing. Like a society, a village, a community has a duty to its children to protect them through their childhood at least. I mean, it'd be nice if we try to look after each other throughout our lives, but at minimum, children are remarkable and resilient, and they can do incredible things and survive unbelievable challenges and hardships, but you know, they shouldn't be left to fend for themselves if they don't have to. And a nurturing community should try to nurture kids, and it's very difficult to be a kid and to be a teenager and to go through, and we all go through all kinds of changes, so, and it's perfectly natural and loving to be concerned that there could be, whether it's a misguided parent or whether it's a misguided doctor or whatever the case may be, that a child who thinks at the time that what they want to do is have an operation, go under anesthesia, and have their testicles removed, castrated, and have their penis kind of slit up and maybe dissected back, cut off, I guess, a good part of it maybe, and have the urethra, you know, I think they flip the penis back and they try to create vulva out of it. I mean, there's a lot of different motivations that surgeons have, but there's a lot of the challenge of what I can do. And, they talk about the surgeon thinking that they're God and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how I feel about any of that stuff. But at the bottom of it all, and I've personally cared for people who have undergone varying degrees of some of these things. The concern for the child doing this radical thing that is not reversible, and potentially, like many children do, like many of us have done as we've evolved and grown, changed our minds, changed our feelings, fundamentally changed, evolved into a different way of. I know that I'm pretty sure that there's at least a couple of people out there that did have a sex change operation at a young age, maybe not under 18, but and come to regret it, that are taking the there's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of every fucking thing you can imagine there is. I'm just saying that if you're concerned that potentially an unscrupulous doctor or a misguided doctor or a misguided parent could allow a child to do something irreversible to their body, that child could come to regret in a deeply, and maybe not though, but that's the fear. You don't want to do something irreversible. If you're a libertarian and you believe in free will and free determination, free self-determination, and if this is a thing that our society says is, yeah, you can do this. I mean, you can have a doctor. Doctors can do this. If they want to do this, they can do this. And I mean, I don't mean to minimize it. There's a whole field of I'm sure there's reams of literature and writings about justifications on a human love-based level of why this is actually the right thing to do for some people. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are very happy with their new, finally feeling like they're in the body that fits with who they are, I guess. It's all so complicated though, you know what I mean? Like, who of us is ever really fully comfortable in who we are? I mean, we're trying to be, but like, we're making progress, but it's a constant thing. But anyway, so I'm getting a little far afield on it. But the bottom line is, the original concern with that issue was like, oh, that seems kind of extreme that you should let a kid do that. And what if they regret it later? And like, Jesus Christ, can't you just nurture them and be kind to them and try to support them in a way that's not irreversible, at least until they're old enough to be there where you could say, and to say that when you're 18 you have the right to make your own decisions. We also got to remember that the frontal cortex doesn't really fully develop until you're 25. I'm not saying people shouldn't have. Believe me, I think kids can have a really hard time with parents who have no business being parents. And as soon as a kid is able to take care of themselves, a kid should be able to do what they want to do. So now I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, because when I used to always say that, I wasn't thinking about having a sex change operation, because I'm just saying if so 18 is not that old, but whatever. So if it was going to be that, if your concern about that was just for the sake of the kid, that's goodness. But what it has turned into is hatred of the kid and hatred of the thing, meaning the phenomenon or the boogeyman people that you imagine pushing this, right? And it certainly does seem like it has proliferated, but I think that's just more the power of the way information travels now, and I don't think it's because any nefarious person with an agenda to subvert people's, sexual, what's the word? Like, stability, and make them do this radical. Everybody, like, I mean, does it not seem like, unless you don't ever fucking talk to people, does it, like, I mean, if you work in a place where there's a lot of people, like I do, there's quite a few people who are dealing with it in their own family. Like, not just one or two. people who know people. I'm sure you know people who know people. Somebody like it's everywhere now. It seems like everywhere. That's a dangerous word to say because that sounds like, yeah. And then we get MAGA pretty quick and Fox News and all that shit. And I'm just telling you, these motherfuckers are evil. So the bottom line is, you gotta love the people. You gotta love everybody. You gotta love the immigrants. You gotta love the brown people. They're all fucking just regular people. And bad people when bad people do shit like when the Mexican, maybe he was Guatemalan. When the Guatemalan homeless man under the bridge in South Texas murders, stabbed or beaten or something like that, the white American homeless lady. They don't tell you homeless in the thing. They just say the white lady. You know, the Fox News people and the right. That just feels, yeah, this motherfucker. But then you read the real stories from the Texas local newspapers and you get the background and you realize it's analogous to what I see every day outside the hospital. It's just two poor fucking alcoholics that live under the fucking bridge in this community of alcoholics, and their sometime boyfriend and girlfriend, and she's some down and out poor white lady who ended up under the bridge with this community of drunks, and he's a poor fucking migrant farm worker from Guatemala who, you know, is down. These are Skid Row alcoholics is who they are, and he just happens to be from Guatemala, and she happens to be from where the fuck she's from. And they were drinking buddies, and they were partners, and they were blackout drunks, and it's a dangerous fucking whatever the fuck happened. People don't know what happened. I mean, it's just life, you know, well. Fuck Facebook, fuck Tucker Carlson, and just read. And you know, these fucking people who are trying to do this, destroy the fucking, shut down all these programs that they think are woke. Fuck you motherfuckers, because, you know, like, oh god, I'm gonna have to call it quits for now. Peace. Stay with the fight, right? Did I tell you about the Tesla? I left the flowers under the windshield. I think I already said it. I was so happy. I've been struggling with Teslas. When I see Trump stickers and big flags, I just, you know, I don't go crazy because I just, like, it's like, oh my god, stupid, like, so fucking stupid. But when I see Teslas, I just don't know, and I'm like, oblivious, mercenary, don't care, just all about the money, like, are you in your own fucking world? Don't, like, do you even know? Are you, like, I understand, I get agitated and angst, and I saw this one yesterday actually, but then I saw it today again. It was still parked there, and I got the idea yesterday, and I said it's still there. I was gonna clean the snow off it, but the snow was gone by the time I got back to it. But I was able to do the flowers. God bless this person. A white Tesla parked, and it's got a black bumper sticker on the back, and it says "fuck" with the asterisk under the U, you know, instead of the U. But it says "fuck." I think it says "fuck you, Elon Musk," and then it says "I will never buy a Tesla again." So I just felt bad then, because I've been feeling all this some kind of way, you know, towards all these Tesla drivers that I don't even know, and like trying not to. I'm a very spirited driver. I'm a very spirited driver. I never look at people like to make eye contact or whatever, because I'm usually trying to move, and people don't always like that. But I always use my signals, and I try not to, like, you know, do anything that I'm not supposed to do. But some people just don't like being passed, so I never look at people because I'm not looking for any trouble. So I don't look at these Tesla drivers. I try to sneak peek sometimes because I'm just fucking curious and I can't help myself. But for the most, I never get into a stare down with a Tesla driver or anything like that. I mean, I guess maybe is that not possible because they would never look at you? I don't know. Because I just don't know. They're like a mystery, but they're driving me crazy seeing all these fucking Teslas and this motherfucker Nazi saluting on the fucking stage while he's fucking trying to throw the election in Germany to the fucking Nazi party. Well, look, they're not really, because they got a couple of lesbians and a couple of, you know, she's from Ecuador or this, You don't understand. There's Nazis everywhere, and there's Nazis of all kinds. They're still fucking Nazis, and Elon Musk is still a Nazi, and that's what these motherfuckers are. Okay? I'm telling you the truth. So, oh yeah, the two things that I'm so depressed about though is the number of people that are sucking up to Trump and craven and don't care and just using him for their own evil designs. That's disturbing. But what's also disturbing is the number of dumb people that I know that aren't bad people. They're not really. I mean, they're dancing with the devil with their fucking, you know, like reveling in and otherism and stuff like that, and the fucking immigrants, and like they've soaked up in some of the venom and they regurgitate it. But deep down inside, they're not bad people. They're kind people, most of them. Jesus, they're so fucking sick. That's what really upsets me. It's in my family, it's in my workplace, it's fucking everywhere, Trumpies. And listen, people, I'm trying to tell you, I love you. I love you all. And these are bad motherfuckers. And I know you don't know as much about any of the other motherfuckers as you know about Trump, and you just like him. And I understand that. And I don't hate him. But he's a sick man. If you think he's a savior and you are entertaining QAnon shit, you are fucked. So take your head out of your ass and go stick your head in the fucking cold ocean or do something. Get the fuck off of Facebook and wake the fuck up. If you need to deprogram yourself because it's been so long, figure out how to do that. I'll help you if you want. You know, but if you still have some good in you, then listen to me when I tell it to you straight. You need to fucking cut the cord from these bad motherfuckers, because what we need to be doing is just trying to help each other out and get by in life and be good and be kind, and that's it. And none of this scapegoating other people. Just stop. Okay, bye.